Good afternoon, everybody. Can everybody hear me, please?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, very good. Naduni, how many we have got in this particular batch?
So normally 15-20 students are there to the lectures.
Right. So we have got about 7 now.
Yes, sir, shall we wait another 5 minutes?
Okay, right. Thanks.
Excuse me, sir, we can start now.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, welcome. Right. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody can hear me very well. And
Good afternoon,
hope
sir.
everybody
Yes.
can see the presentation. Yes. Can you all see the
Yes, sir.
presentation as well?
Yes.
Okay,
Sir.
very
Yes,
good. Yeah, very good. I think this is the first session I'm having. Am I right? This is the first time we are meeting. That right? Or have we met earlier?
Yes, sir, we have met you earlier for our first
Okay.
semester.
Right. Okay, very good. Okay, then let's continue with the session. This is about, we have got sessions, basically, we need to understand how best we can conduct stock verifications, and also how do we do the disposal of items, which is very important in terms of organizations in managing inventories, and also how best we'll be able to look at reduction of waste and just-in-time concept, how best it can be implemented in our organizations and what benefits we can derive. And if you are going to implement a lean kind of inventory management systems, what kind of challenges we'll face. So those are the areas that we'll be covering in 2-3 sessions. In today's sessions, we are planning to cover basically inventory related, of course, what are the stock verifications, why do we do stock verifications, and how best we'll be able to dispose items, and why should we dispose items and write-offs, and what kind of impact it will have the stock valuations and the financial documents or financial indicators such as maybe gross profit, asset turnovers, return on investments, kind of financial ratios, what kind of impact will have. So that is the area that you should be focusing at your level, at MBA level, rather than operational. If you do stock write-offs, what will be the impact to your bottom line, and how best you'll be able to manage the organizations and manage the inventories, and what should we be doing, because inventory is a topic where we'll have a greater impact on the bottom lines, and at the end of the day, a lot of operational issues are cropping up. So as managers in organizations, you should be able to provide solutions. So this is basically solution oriented rather than operational oriented at this particular level. Maybe if you're when you are doing your basic studies, basic degree, so whatever the other, maybe SIMA or SIM or whatever the other areas of study, you must have done some operational studies in this particular area. I hope everybody has got the presentations. So let's try to understand, what do you mean by stock verification? You are verifying things. Whenever you verify things, you are comparing. You compare one figure with another figure to verify. In this case, in these situations also, you are verifying. Then you will be comparing. So what are you comparing? If we assume it can be a manual system that you have in your organizations to manage inventory, so it can be a digital system that you have in your organizations to manage your inventories, such as maybe Oracle, SAP, or even specialized packages like High Jump. These are some of there are Fishball. So there are so many different types of inventory management systems and warehouse management systems. So when it comes to the system, so you have a list of items which are inventories. So the list of items that you are maintaining in your system, you'll have some kind of balancers, stock or balancers, inventory balancers, maybe as at today, so 15th March. So you will have a list of items and their balancers. Say items A001, you may be having 250 unit your balance. A005, 2000 units as your balance. These are system balancers. How do we know the system balance is exactly the balance that you have physically in your stocks? This is the issue. In many cases, we have experienced the system balance is not the balance physically that you are maintaining or you have in your stock. If it is the case, it's a big issue. Therefore, you need to verify. That is why it is called verifications. But verifications are done for different reasons. We'll go into details later why stock verifications are done. So what is verification is you are comparing your system balance with the physical balance. You, as of today, if there are 250 items in the system balance, you'll go and count it. You'll go and measure it and see physically how many units you have. If physically also you have got 250 units, so your inventory system equals inventory physical. So therefore inventory system minus inventory physical will be 0. So you are very good then. You are managing inventory perfectly. But in certain cases, this is not the issue. Because in operations, you might do some mistakes. You might issue 50 items and you will reduce, or you will, due to the method of that you are feeding the system, you might enter 60 items. So inventory will be getting deducted 60, but actually you have issued only 50. So when you count, when the stock is counted for this particular item, there will be 10 units more. So inventory system is not tallying with the inventory physical. So there are various reasons, factors contributing to this particular issue. So as a result, it is a requirement that we should be doing verifications. So that is what is stock verification. So stock verifications are done in different intervals. One stock verification may be annual verification, which is very famous. Annual verification. Can somebody tell me why almost all the warehouses in Sri Lanka and many other countries, they do an annual stock verification? What are the main reasons for doing annual stock verifications? Anybody, please? What is the main reason for doing annual verification?
To prepare financial statements.
Very good. That is the main reason to prepare financial statements. If you take a snapshot of the financial statements, main financial statements, why do we do annual stock verification? You should be able to explain. You must have done your financial module maybe already. Let's take a small case. Say your annual revenue. Your revenue, let's assume $10,000. So revenue $10,000. Opening stock. So let's assume $2,000. Purchases during the period. Let's assume 5,000. So the total inventory value will be 7,000. Then you take closing stock. So let's say closing stock is 3,000. Therefore, cost of goods sold will be 7,000 minus 3,000, 4,000. Therefore, the gross profit, operating profit will be 10,000 minus 4,000, 6,000. Now see, this is, if you assume this is a trading organization. So your revenue is 10,000, your opening stock 2,000. Opening stock means previous year closing stock. So it will be the opening stock for this year. During the year, you purchase 5,000 and total will be 7,000. Your closing stock is 3,000. Therefore, your cost of goods sold will be 4,000 and you are earning an operating profit of 6,000. There are two aspects to this now. So what are the two aspects to this? What do you think about this closing stock? If you take the closing stock as per the balances shown in the system, to which degree it will be correct? That is one question. Accuracy of the closing balance as per the system. Or if you take a physical stock and value the stocks, so this is the system. What is the physical value? At the end of the day, when you calculated the physical value, after taking a physical stock, when you calculated the value, is it tallying with the system value? Is it more? Is it less? Or what kind of variation? Now, that is one aspect. Anyway, we accept this closing stock value should be 100% correct. Why? If the closing stock value is not correct, your cost of goods sold will be incorrect and your gross profit will be incorrect. Your closing stock value is not correct, your cost of goods sold will be incorrect and your gross profit will be incorrect. That cannot be afforded, or that cannot happen. As a result, the closing stock has to be accurate. So if you take the system balance, is it accurate? There are some, as with your experience, maybe we have our doubts. Therefore, auditors and the financial controllers or accountants, they prefer to take a physical count and take that value as closing stock value to prepare final accounts. That is one aspect. That is the reason that we do normally annual stock verification. Annual stock verification is done closer to the financial end of the financial year. Why are we doing it at that period? Because we want to take the accurate stock value to prepare financial accounts or financial reports. I hope it is very clear. So no two words. We have to take annual stock verification. Why we should have the correct figure to prepare our financial accounts. Okay, you can see now the closing stock value is 3,000 here. If you assume it is 4,000 closing stock value, if you assume it is 4,000, now tell me the gross profit. If the closing stock value is 4,000, what is the gross profit or the operating profit? What will be the gross profit? Yes, anybody? Anybody, please? stock value is 4,000, what is the gross profit? How much? Yes. Mudita Prasad, what do you think? What will be the gross profit?
Revenue minus cost of sales, that means gross profit. The revenue
Yeah.
10,000, cost of sale 4,000. The gross profit
Yeah.
would be 6,000.
Yes, very good. Is it 6,000? Now see, if the closing stock is 4,000, your total purchases 7,000. 7,000 minus 4,000, your COGS will be 3,000.
Okay.
Therefore, your operating profit will be 10,000 minus 3,000, 7,000. So when your closing stock value goes up, what happens? Your operating profit will be increased. Now, this is sometimes some CEOs like this to show higher stock value as closing stock value, then the operating profit will be increased. But that is not real profit because this profit is hidden in the inventories. These inventories may be spare parts, may be work in progress, maybe raw material, maybe finished goods which have not been written off and cannot be sold. Therefore, you will not have real profits shown. Real profits shown because it is hidden in the stocks. Therefore, this particular stock value, closing stock value, has to be accurate. It has to be realistic. That is why normally year-end stock take is done. To take the reasonably correct stock value to prepare financial reports, as you said. And you know why now? You know why the financial reports should have correct stock value as closing stock and other financial reports as well. So this is inventory. All these inventories. Inventory is your part of your assets then. So this is your current asset actually. Your cash and inventories are current assets. Therefore, when you calculated asset turnover or return on assets, when you calculate the return on assets, if the closing stock value is incorrect, your return on asset calculations will also be incorrect. All the financial reports will be incorrect if the closing stock value is incorrect. So therefore, it is paramount importance that you have to take the accurate value, stock value for this financial report preparation. That is why many financial controllers and accountants and auditors, they prefer physical stock taking. So when you take the stock physically and they value that, then you are sure those stocks are there and they are taking the correct value then. I hope it is well understood now why annual stock take is important, why for financial reports you should have accurate stock value. So not only accurate stock value, all the other figures should be accurate, otherwise all the figures will be wrong. All the calculations will be wrong. So that is one stock take. Some organizations in addition might do periodic verifications, maybe every 2 months, quarterly, biannually. So like that, depending on the organization, you can decide periodic stock verifications. Even even in the government organizations, it is allowed period stock takes. So that is one kind of stock verification. There's another very important stock verification which is called cycle counting or continuous stock verification, or sometimes some people call it perpetual inventory verifications. Let's try to understand what is this cycle counting. It is not counting bicycles in the shed. That also may be required to take inventories. But let's try to understand what is this cycle counting. Can somebody tell me what is cycle counting? Maybe some of your organization, you must be doing it already. Anybody who organizations? Anybody, please? Yes, Sasanka. In your organization, do you do cycle counting? Please contribute very fast. If you don't do, yes, that is already, that's very good. That's fine. Just give me the feedback. Ganga, what do you think? Do you all do cycle counting?
No, sir.
Okay.
So actually, I'm working at a hospital.
Okay.
I don't think so that we are doing the cycle counting for our institutions.
Right. Would you like to say which hospital you are in?
Possibility.
Oh, okay. Yes, I can remember. Yes. So it is a government organization, and I don't think you are doing a cycle count in there.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. So let me explain what is cycle counting.
So
Let's
we
assume
do.
that.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So we do stock takings, that means countings.
Yeah.
So that is to, if there are any errors going on, so then time to time we check our stocks. Is that the cycle counting?
Right. No,
No,
that is not cycle counting. That is basically to verify your Yes, please.
in
Yeah.
military systems, at times we do this. I mean, part of the stock is taken and then counted and then see the accuracy. Part of the inventory.
Okay. Do you do it? Do you do it regularly?
Regularly we do it. I mean, that is because I mean, during especially wartime, the stock is being utilized very frequently. So you got to be very careful with that. So therefore, we use the system.
Right. Very good. Right. So that may be a valid reason for you to do cycle counting. So let's try to understand what is cycle counting. Let's assume, for easy understanding, you are working a number of days in a year. So let's assume that you work number of days in a year. So let's see, you are working 300 days. Out of 365, you work in 300 days. In your warehouse, you have, say, number of items. Let's say you have 900 items. Now 900 items. You are working 300 days. 900 items. You are working 300 days. 900 items. You are working 300 days. If you are to cover, or if you are to count all 900 items in 1 year, that means 300 days, you have to count all 900 items once. හැම item එකක්ම එකපාරක් count වෙනවා අවුරුද්දක් ඇතුළත. හැම item එකක්ම එකපාරක් count වෙනවා අවුරුද්දක් ඇතුළත. එතකොට එහෙම කරන්න නම් දවසකට items කීයක් count වෙන්න ඕනද? දවසකට items කීයක් count වුණොත්ද අවුරුද්දක් ඇතුළත හැම item එකක්ම එකපාරක් count වෙන්නේ?
3.
3.
3 items, yes. So number of items per day, per working day should be 900 divided by 300. So it will be 3 items. That means හැම item එකම එකපාරක් count වෙනවා. So day 1 ඉඳලා 300 එනකොට එක cycle එකක් යනවා හැම item එකක්ම count කර දවසකට you have to count 3 items. 3 items count for one cycle. හැබැයි හැමදාම count කරන්න count කරලා විතරක් මදි. ඒ items වල ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් ඒ ඔක්කොම විසඳන්න ඕන. පහුවෙන්දට තියන්න බෑ. But the පහුවෙන්ද you are going to count another 3 items and again do the same thing. So you do one cycle in a year, counting every item once. දැන් මට කියන්නකෝ අවුරුද්දකට හැම item එකක්ම දෙපාරක් count වෙන්න නම් how many items we should be counting per day?
6.
How many items we should count every day to
6.
count every items 2 times in a year? That means every year we are going 2 cycles, as you said, if we counted 6 items. So every day we are counting 6 items. So they will be covering every item twice in a year. That means 2 cycles. Okay, if you are to count, if you want to go 3 cycles, how many items you should be counting every day? Yes. How many items you should be counting every day if you have to cover 3 cycles?
9.
9 items. You are very good. That is cycle counting. So this is cycle counting. So how many cycles you cover in a year in cycle counting every item? But we can see if you can increase the number of cycles, then so many times every item will be counted in a year. Then the accuracy will be good. If it is 1 cycle, only once it is counted on in a year. But 2 cycles at least 2 times, 3 cycles 3 times, 4 cycles 4 times. But number of items that you will be counting in a day will be increased. But at the end of the day, stock accuracy also will be increased. If the stock accuracy goes increased, it is not a big issue to count so many items in a day because there are no variances. So you just close the counting. No variances. This is called cycle counting. I hope everybody, it is clear to everybody now. What is cycle counting? So tomorrow, Monday, when you go to your place, go to the factory, go to the warehouse and check with the stores manager or the warehouse executive or whoever the in charge there, how many items they count in a day, and ask them, check with them, how have they decided that number of items? I am sure 90% of them, they don't know the background of it. They don't know really what is cycle counting. They are doing cycle counting, but they don't know what is cycle counting. So please teach them and correct them. So that is very important. So when you do cycle counting, what happens? When you increase the number of cycles, your accuracy will be increased. When we implemented this in many warehouses, in MAS, Brandix, and various other organizations, so we have, if you do it properly, we can reach 99.99% accuracy stocks. Inventory stocks, inventory accuracy will be 99.99, almost 100%. One or two items, sometimes you might have some variances, but your stock accuracy will be above 99%. If you can maintain this stock accuracy, 99.99% or above 99%, you can prove it to auditors, you can prove it to your financial controllers, and you can request them not to have annual stock take. Annual verification. Annual verification is not required actually. This is not required if your stock accuracy is 99.99%. Believe me, we have done it.
So excuse me.
Yes, please.
Yeah, if we consider machine and equipment in the inventory, we need to get match with the depreciation.
I'm talking about operating items here, not capital items. Your machines will be capital items then.
Okay.
The capital items only will have depreciation. The other items valuation based on the decided system, maybe first in, first out, maybe weighted average, whatever the accounting system that you practice, your inventory will be valued. But when it comes to capital items, you'll have depreciation. I know what you're going to say. So, but here we are not focusing on capital items because capital item goes as assets, fixed assets. We are talking about inventories, which are current assets. Is that very clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So I hope everybody understand now what is cycle counting, and what I was telling is, if you can improve the stock accuracy of your organization, if it is above 99%, you can challenge the auditors and you can challenge the annual stock verification, and you can prove whether you do stock verification or not, stock value will be same. If the stock accuracy is above 99%, why should we waste in time to do a physical count annually? Take the system balances and value it and take it. Value will be almost same. I have done it in many organizations. We have proved the stock accuracy above 99%. We have challenged the financial controllers and auditors. You can take a stock valuation and see it will be almost system value. Therefore, why are we doing it? Why are we doing an annual verification? Please take the system value. That will be good enough to prepare your financial reports. And in one organization, they accepted, but they wanted to do a sample counting. Because auditors, KPMG, they wanted to do a sample counting. We said, please go ahead. And they did sample counting, 100% correct. 100% correct. So that is the benefit you will have if you can increase your stock accuracy above 99% with whatever the technique. It can be cycle counting and it can be any other counting. But if you can maintain it, definitely you can challenge annual verifications. If you are a government organization like Vatupitivala Hospital or any other government organization, then your document Bible will be the financial regulations If you read the clause 759, Financial Regulations 759, that is continuous survey of stores. Continuous survey of stores. When you are reading the financial or the financial regulations, you have to read first the nomenclature given. ඒගොල්ලෝ අපි සාමාන්‍ය පාවිච්චි කරන වචන නෙමෙයි සමහර කලාට පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ සර්වේ එක කියලා කියන්නේ මේ ෆිසිකල් වෙරිෆිකේෂන් එක. සර්වේ කියන්නේ වෙරිෆිකේෂන්. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ස්ටෝර්ස් කියලා කියන්නේ ඉන්වෙන්ටරි අයිටම්ස්. ෆයිනෑන්ෂියල් රෙගුලේෂන්ස් වල ස්ටෝර්ස් කියලා කියන්නේ ඉන්වෙන්ටරි අයිටම්ස් වලට. සර්වේ කියලා කියන්නේ වෙරිෆිකේෂන් එකට. ඒතකොට continuous survey, continuous verification of inventory items, that is allowed as per the Financial Regulations 759. So exact wording you can see here. The continuous survey of stores and the periodical checking of inventory books by the audit department will not relieve accounting officers of their responsibility for satisfying themselves by occasional stock taking, that the balances on the store's ledgers or inventory books are actually in stock. The store's inventory items, the quantities in the systems are actually in the stock. They can continue, they can take occasional stock taking and or continuous survey of stores, that is allowed. But that is up to the accounting officer to basically carry out these activities. 759 further says, so the accounting officer must see that at least a group of the items of the stores of his department is verified monthly and the results reported to him. We know from Treasury, there are, in the government sector, you have forms for everything. For this particular purpose, form 127. So you can even report it. So this will help actually accounting officer to maintain higher level of inventory accuracy. So when you are taking stock verifications, then, so all inventories should be verified. Finished goods, raw materials, work in progress, all these different types of stocks, inventories. So you have to take a complete physical count of inventory items and as per the particular day that has been specified. Annual physical inventories should be generally be concluded or conducted in connection with the month, basically the month end, and accounting to provide verifiable general ledger balances for them to prepare their final accounts, even in the government sector. So this is why, whatever it is, stock verifications are important. So there are few reasons why physical inventories will be taken. One we have discussed. So one is annual verification, that is to prepare financial reports. So that is one reason. We have already discussed it. But there are other reasons. For different types of, whatever the types of stock verifications, there are so many other reasons. So what are those reasons then? What are those reasons in addition to financial documentation preparation? What are the other reasons that we do physical stock verifications? Anybody, please? So what are the other reasons that people might be doing? Warehouses will be doing stock verifications in addition to preparation of financial reports. Yes, anybody?
Preventing from losses.
Yes, very good. To ascertain the losses, there can be various situations that you need to do. Maybe it is pilferage, sometimes natural losses, evaporated, and loss of stock due to change in the temperature, maybe counting errors, careless handling and damages, and maybe robberies. උදේට වැඩට යනකොට warehouse එක padlock එක කඩලා. In such a situations, you have to handle it very carefully. Padlock එක කඩලා කියලා ඒක අරගෙන ඇතුළට කඩාගෙන යන්න එපා. So you must be having a company or the organization policy then. As per the policy, you will not be touching, you will not be going inside. Maybe first thing you will be reporting it to the police. And in the meantime, you will check, and inform your other relevant authorities. The police will be conducting their investigations. And after that, then you will be allowed to go inside and maybe fingerprinting and all these, their formalities will be done. Then you will be asked to maybe do your job. But it is a requirement in this particular situation. Make a horu kadala nang. What is the loss? Kochara badu genillada. What are the quantities and what are the values? So the loss in terms of quantity plus value. You have to ascertain. මේක කොහොමද කරන්නේ? මේක කරන්නේ අපි දැන් තියෙන ටිකේ stock value එකක් physical count එකක් අරගෙන බලනවා system එකේ එකට tally වෙනවද? ඒතර අඩු නම් අපි assume කරනවා ඒක තමයි loss එක. හැබැයි ඉතින් වෙන losses උතන එපෙතින් cover කරලා දාන්නත් පුළුවන්. But generally that is what is happening. So therefore, when something happened like that, we have to do a stock verification. There can be other reasons. We do stock verifications. There are three reasons now. Another reason will be, again, to ascertain the value that we lost. Maybe warehouse එකේ fire එකක් තියෙනවා. පැත්තක් ගිනි අරගෙන විනාශ වෙනවා. කොච්චරක් loss එකක්ද? Again, you will be doing a physical count and see the valuation. So we can ascertain this is the value that we have lost due to this fire. There's another situation that we do stock verifications, handing over and taking over. And taking over. Suppose you are going to, you'll be retiring in 2 months' time. Somebody else has already appointed and he has come to take over. You will take a system balances and list of balances. You will be asking that person, the other person who is taking over, this is the stock items, this is the quantities that you have, please sign it. Will you sign if you are given? So will you sign if you are given a list of items taken from the system with the balances, and will you be signing and taking over?
No.
No. What will you do?
We have to take a physical count.
Normally you have to take a physical count because you don't know actually, although the system balances are there nicely printed, but We don't know whether those quantities are there. Because after taking over, it is your responsibility. Recently, one of the schools in Panadura, the principal got retired and new principal came. The old principal going out, prepared a list of items and asked the new principal to sign. New principal said, no, I can't sign. I want 2 days at least to count these items and see whether there are variances, and then I will sign. Of course, the older principal who is going out, he was not happy that much, but he can't challenge, he can't ask not to take time, and he can't ask not to do the counting. Then the counting was done. There were so many items missing and variations. සංගීත කාමරේ පුටු 21ක් අඩුයි. සංගීත කාමරේ ඉන්ස්ට්‍රුමන්ට්ස් 3ක් අඩුයි. ලයිබ්‍රරියේ පුටු 10ක් අඩුයි. ඇග්‍රිකල්චර් රූම් එකේ උදළු 3ක් අඩුයි. So මේවා වැලියු කරා. So the new principal reported this to the divisional office, and divisional office said to the going out principal, we are going to hold your pension because you have not handed over what you should be handing over to the new principal. The pension was held. It took about another 6 months. The principal පරණ උදළු වල කරවල් කෑලි අරවම ගෙනල්ලා දාලා ඒ වගේව සෙටල් කරා. කැඩිච්ච පුටු වගේක් කරේ මේ පෙන්නලා පුටු ටිකක් සෙටල් කරා. But ultimately he had to pay about 60,000 rupees for the losses. When the things were settled down, only it took more than 6 months actually for him to get the pension. He was highly diabetic, also alcoholic. Pension එක අරගෙන මිනිහා මාස 4ක් ජීවත් වුණේ. So not a very good administrator. හොඳ administrator කෙනෙක් වුණා නම් මෙහෙම වෙන්නේ නැහනේ. Now this is why this shows some level of importance why you should be taking verifications. I was conducting another program to government medical supplies. Now, I conducted so many programs. In one program, one of the pharmacists who was in charge of the section of the medical supplies, medical stores, he came to me and asked. He was actually he had retired, and on contract basis he had come back, but he is not getting his pension. I asked why. There were 260 rupee variance at the stock verification. Due to that, pension has been kept on hold. The same case. The manko me 260 rupees කියන්නේ මහා ගාණක් නෙවෙයිනේ. ඔක settle කරලා ඉතින් ඔයා pension එකට යන්න. දැන් pension එකට යන්න settle කරන්න ගියාම දැන් ඉන්න medical director කියනවා government supplies department medical director කියනවා මේක මගේ කාලේ වෙච්ච එකක් නෙවෙයි. මේක පොඩ්ඩක් ඒ කාලේ ඒකත් එක්ක settle කරගන්න කියලා. ඒ කාලේ නෑ රටේ නෑ. මේ මිනිස්සයා pension එක නැතුව තමයි contract period එකත් ඉවර වුණේ. මම දන්නේ නැහැ ඊට පස්සේ අතට මොකද උනේ කියලා. But these are the issues that you will have when the stock is not accurate and if there are variances, especially in the government sector. Especially in the government sector. You have to be very careful. So what are the objectives of these kind of stock verifications then? Verify the accuracy and verify the stock value and the physical verification, the balancers, to ascertain the possibility of fraud, threat, theft, or losses, to identify possible shortcomings in the activity, shortcomings and custody and control of stocks, handing over, taking over. So it can be annual stock take with a continuous take or perpetual or cycle stock takes, whatever way. So you need to ascertain the, basically quantities that you have. Financial Regulation 756, annual survey of stores in all departments. If you go through this particular document, I'm not going to read all the clauses, but I'm showing because if you are in the government sector, the financial regulations is your Bible. So you have to, maybe if you have a store's manual prepared, the manual should be read. If you don't, the manual is also basically prepared based on the financial regulations. So it says, financial regulation says, ensure the availability of assets, ensure the accuracy of transactions, ensure the correct ledgers are presented, to settle discrepancies and to provide accurate information for annual accounts. This is why annual survey is done. Annual stock verification is done. In all government departments, this is a requirement. So again, 756, how it is done is explained. How many people we have here from the government sector. So I know we have Sasanka from Orthopedic Hospital. And how many others we have got from the government sector? Yes. All the others are from the private sector, am I right? Okay, so if you are in the government sector, please, you need to go through these financial regulations. So I will not be taking your time to take you through this at this moment, because so far we have got only one person from the government sector, public sector. Therefore, it is not rocket science. You will be able to read and understand. So you have to appoint the board of survey normally, somewhere 15th of December. So the board of survey will be appointed for the verification of stores, verification of items, and also board of survey is done not only to verification of inventories or stores, even to decide some unserviceable stores, unserviceable items. Hospital එකේ තියෙනවා X-ray machine එකක් කැඩිලා පැත්තකට දාලා දැන් අවුරුදු 3-4ක් තියෙනවා ඔහි. මේක එතන තියාගන්න බෑ බල කරදරයක්. So you appoint a board of survey and you get the report from the board of survey. With the board of survey, then will have to definitely have a technical officer as well. So they will decide whether this can be repaired, whether it is usable, or whether this is unserviceable and unusable. So if they say this is unusable, then you can get rid of it. You can dispose. Habba dispose karanna lesiyen bෑ, because this is an asset. එතකොට ඒකටත් ක්‍රමයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ ක්‍රමෙත් දීලා තියෙනවා කොහොමද dispose කරන්නේ items කියන එකත්. It is explained in the financial regulations. So these kind of items, basically it is allowed to auction and sell it off. අර සමහරක් වෙලාවට ඔය අබලි ද්‍රව්‍ය වෙන්දේසි කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ. ඒ අබලි ද්‍රව්‍ය වෙන්දේසි කරනවා කියන්නේ ඔය බෝඩර් සර්වේ දාලා බෝඩර් සර්වේ එකෙන් කියනවා මේවා තවදුරටත් වැඩක් නැහැ, මේවා පරණ වෙලා, මේවා රිපෙයාර් කරන්න බෑ, මේවා ඔක්කොම විකුණලා දාන්න. Then you can get it disposed as per the rules and regulations. You have to be very careful. I think you will be behind the bars if you don't practice this properly. ඔතන ඉතින් ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. malpractices, corruption, ඔය ඔක්කොම තියෙනවා ඔතන ඇතුලේ. Once in a particular CTB depot, those days it is CTB, ඔය පරණ සර්විස් කරන්න බැරි බස් වෙන්දේසි කරනවා. බස් එක තල්ලු කරගෙන යනවා, ඇදගෙන යනවා ටිකක් දුර ගිහලා අපි ස්ටාර්ට් කරගෙන යනවා. එහෙමත් බස් වෙන්දේසි කරලා විකුණලා තියෙනවා. පාන මේක මේ පත්තරේ තිච්ච කතන්දරයක්. පානදුර හොස්පිටල් මේ වගේ අබල ද්‍රව්‍ය වෙන්දේසියක් තිබ්බා. පරණ යකඩ පරණ මැෂින් අරවා මේ ඔක්කොම වෙන්දේසියක් තියලා වෙන්දේසි කරා. උදේවරුේ මේක උනේ හවස පේෂන්ට්ස් කෙනෙක් ඇවිල්ලා එක්ස්රේ එකක් ගන්න එක්ස්රේ එක ලියලා ડોක්ටර් එක්ස්රේ රූම් එකට ගියාම එක්ස්රේ මැෂින් එක නැහැ. හැබැයි උදේ අබලි ද්‍රව්‍ය වෙන්දේසියේදී එක්ස්රේ මැෂින් එකකුත් විකුණලා තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ බලනකොට මේ පාන්දුර හොස්පිටල් ඉස්සලා ඉරණ පාරේ ටිකක් දුර මේක හයි කරගෙන ඒ වෙනකොටත් වැඩ. එහෙමත් අබලි ද්‍රව්‍ය විකුණනවා. එතන ඉතින් ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුණා. ඊට පස්සේ වෙලා තියෙනවා මේ පත්තරේ තිච්ච එක මම කියවන්නේ. ඒ පොලිසිය ගිහිල්ලා ආපහු ඉතින් මුලින් ඉඳන්ම වැඩේ ඉන්වෙස්ටිගේෂන්ස් පටන් අරන් තියෙනවා. එහෙම තමයි සමහරක් වෙලාවට මේ ඩිස්පෝසිං එක වෙන්නේ. It depends on the items then. ඒවා ඇවිල්ලා inventory items නෙමෙයි ඇත්තටම, as you raise the question, those are assets. So it continues then. මේ FR එක continue වෙනවා, financial regulations මේ board of surveys කරන්නේ කොහමද, inventory කරන්නේ කොහමද, ඒවා මොන වගේ officers ලාද appoint වෙන්න ඕන, ඒ ඔක්කොම details තියෙනවා. So those who are in the government sector, please read. Make sure that you read and understand financial regulations. මම හිතන්නේ මේවා training programs ගොඩාක් කරනවා. Financial regulations වලට government then procurement procedures දැන් වෙනස් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ගිය අවුරුද්දේ නොවැම්බර් මාස 25 වෙනිදා අලුත් guideline එක publish වුණා. So ඒවා training ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. So you have to get yourself updated. Because in the government sector, you have to be very careful when you work. It has to be as per the rules and regulations. So annual survey of all departments should be done. So the compensation of the board is paid for this work that they basically offer services. The powers of the board, they may be required to verify stores. So the FR Clause 757 applies in the case of unserviceable stores, unserviceable items. The appropriate provisions of section 4 of this chapter apply. එකෙන් කියන්නේ එතකොට ඒවා unserviceable items විදියට dispose කරන්න ඒගොල්ලන්ට බලය තියෙනවා, බලය දෙන්න, recommend කරන්න. So the simultaneously forms මෙන්න මේ forms වල ඒවා record කරන්න ඕන. So the board of survey, board of survey is appointed, and all these details I have extracted from the FR to this presentation. You can go through it, especially the people, those who are working in the government sector. Anit that in මේවා private sector යට කියවන්න වැඩක් නැහැ. This is not a very sexy document එකක් නෙවෙයිනේ. ඒක නිසා ඉතින් කියවන්න හිතෙන්නේ නැහැ මේක. So please, those who are in the government sector, please read and try to understand how board of survey is appointed. ඒගොල්ලන්ට compensation කියවන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒගොල්ලේ authorities මොනවද? කී දෙනෙක් ඕනද? ඒක වෙන්නේ කොහොමද? The rules and regulations and responsibilities මොනවද? So unserviceable items තියෙනවා නම් කොහොමද report කරන්නේ? ඒ ඔක්කොම ඒකම variance එකක් ආවොත් කොහොමද variance handle කරන්නේ? So all this information is given basically. So when there is a variance, especially, so how do you condemn unserviceable articles without a board of survey report? There is a small provision for that as well. So if it is, unless it has been, so the basically no article or charge may be condemned or written off as unserviceable unless it has been reported on the unserviceable by a board of survey and action has been taken in terms of financial regulation 770. Remember this. කිසිම item එකක් unserviceable කියලා විකුණන්න හරි කාට හරි දෙන්න හරි condemn කරන්න බෑ. board of survey එකදී ඒක unserviceable කියලා detect වෙලා ඒගොල්ලෝ recommend කරලා නැත්තම්. So that is the authority vested to the board of survey to decide whether an item is serviceable or unserviceable. So the important points. Also, so an account officer may be condemned as unserviceable and write off articles without waiting for the appointment of a board survey. But the task in the case of minor stores of a perishable nature. පොඩි chance එකක් දීලා තියෙනවා board of survey එක නැතුව මම ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වා වගේ අපි හිතමු මොනවා හරි ෆ්‍රිජ් එකේ තියෙන items ඒ ආයතනයේ ෆ්‍රිජ් එකේ මොනවා හරි items ටිකක් තියෙනවා. weekend එකේ එනකොට ෆ්‍රිජ් එක වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ මාළු ටික නරක් වෙලා. දැන් මාළු ටික මේ කුණු ගඳක ගහ මාළු ටික තියාගන්න බෑනේ board of survey දාලා appoint කරලා ඇවිල්ලා මේ මාළු මේ විනාශ කරලා දාන්න කියන්නේ. In such a situation, small value, perishable items, minor stores value, minor value, the accounting officer ට පුළුවන් board of survey එකක් නැතුව තීරණයක් ගන්න මේ items dispose කරන්න. So it is interest of the government that unserviceable stores should be condemned and written off in such a situations. හැබැයි ඒකේ value එක තාමත් මේවා අප්ඩේට් වෙලා නැහැ සමහරක් ඒවා less than රුපියල් 50 නම්. දැන් මේක 50 නෙවෙයි මම හිතන්නේ අඩු ගානේ 5000ක්වත් වෙන්න ඕන. The value is not less than, so value is less than 50 rupees. If it is more than 50, he has to take the authority, basically approval. So then, after taking the approval, it can be then disposed of. ඒ වගේ මේ විස්තර ටික තියෙනවා මේකේ how you should be basically behaving. එතකොට මේ articles condemn වුණාට පස්සේ it depends on the different types of articles. Disposal of condemned articles. මේ articles ලෝහ නොවන articles තමයි. If the condemned articles are metal articles, they can't dispose of. Metal noven articles, articles other than metal articles can be auctioned. But you have to then go through the tender procedure. Public advertisements and articles should be disposed and so basically articles are unsuitable for sale. Therefore, you are just getting, if it is, you are disposing it, but still, if the articles are not suitable for sale, you can't still auction, you have to destroy it. ඒතර විකුණන්න පුළුවන් articles තමයි auction එකේ විකුණන්න පුළුවන් ඒත් metal articles නෙවෙයි. What happens to the metal articles then? Because now this must have been changed actually. The metal articles you should be sending into maybe the government factory. Those days maybe to Oruwala steel factory for melting and for reusable. So the reasonable publicity must be given for all these. එතන මේ විකුණන තැන විකුණන දවසට සේල් එක දවසට board of member කෙනෙක් represent කරන්න ඕන. A member of the board must be present at the sale and authorize destruction of articles as per 338. So please go through it. So those are the salient points. I just you can go into details. So the metal articles and salvage material, ferrous and non-ferrous. Ferrous material yakada, non-ferrous yakada නොවන ඒවා, copper, aluminium වගේ ඒවා. So all these accumulated items should be handed over to the, the maybe in activities conducted on advance account should be disposed of by selling such scrap to government department or corporation requiring them at price mutually agreed. මේවා දෙන්න ඕන first preference එක government organization වලට. Steel corporation එකට, government factory එකට, any other government department that they require first, that is the first choice, පිට දෙන්න තහනම්. So samara material may be given to railway workshop, railway department, Ratmalana. So chief mechanical engineer over there will be willing to accept. එතන තවත් හොර ගුහාවක් ඒක වෙනම තැනක්. So that means if they want, they can use it. That is why these kind of rules and regulations have been developed and practiced those days, because එක department එක waste එක තව department එකකට resource එකක් වෙනවා. So
Sir,
if
excuse me.
after that, if they, yes please.
Sir, when we go to the auction, do we need to put a minimum amount for the auction items?
When you go to
Like once we decide to,
because yeah, please go ahead.
no, I mean once we decide to auction, dispose the items, so we can
Okay.
go for an auction, and then do we
Yes.
need to put a minimum amount for the auction items?
No, normally that minimum amount will be coming from the border survey. So once the first board of survey decided that this item is unusable, normally you have to have another board of survey to confirm it and give, recommend minimum value. So that is the value normally offering at the, basically expected at the auction.
So in the auction, they bid, no, then if the bidders not bid to the minimum amount, can we cancel? Do we need to cancel the auction? No, can we give it to the highest amount?
It can, many cases basically it can be given to the highest amount, but you have to have the total proceedings properly recorded.
Okay.
මෙතන තව case එකක් තියෙනවා. There are some cases, because all these situations sometimes you artificially manipulate prices. ඔය ලොකු cases වගේක් තියෙනවා යට ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ, මම දන්නේ නැහැ ඒවා දැන් එළියට එයිද කියලා. ඔය සමහර ටෙලිකොම් එකේ සමහර පරණයකඩ ටෙලිකොම් එකේ පරණ සමහර ඔය කුළුණු වලින් අයින් කරපු යකඩේම හොරපාරෙන් ගිහිල්ලා කියලා කියනවා. ඒ වගේ cases තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම යුද්ධෙන් පස්සේ උතුරු නැගෙනහිර සෑහෙන්න පරණ යකඩ එකතු වුණා. පරණ වාහන, පරණ බයිසිකල්, පරණ ඒ වගේ දේවල්. ඒ වගේම පරණ ෆැක්ටරීස් වල, maybe the chemical factory පරන්තන්, cement factory කංකේසන් වල ඒ වගේ ඒවා තීච්ච යකඩ වලට මොනවද උනේ? ඒ වගේ cases ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. proper auction එකක්, best procedure එකක් වෙලා නැහැ. මිනිස්සු ගලවගෙන ගිහලා ආරවා මේ වගේ ලොකු cases වගේක් තියෙනවා. But there are some places where you had auctions even හරියට price ascertain එකක් වෙලා නැහැ. So all depends on the board of survey actually. Are you from the government sector? Yes, and I think no one asked the question. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So are you from the government sector?
Yeah, it's a semi-government.
What is the
NI.
organization? Sorry? You are one, no? Right. Okay.
Sir, I'm from NIB. My line is.
Yeah, I know. I can remember now very well. Okay. So please read this. I think it is applicable for you as well. So since you are in the maintenance department, so please read you can download the financial regulations free of charge. So what is relevant for you, please go through it and try to understand. So what happened to the ferrous material, non-ferrous material? So all these, how you should be handling. So you should have a thorough understanding about the area that you are working with. So
Sir,
therefore it is
excuse me.
important.
Sir,
Yes, please.
Can't we do auction for ferrous material? Is that always the case that all these should be sent to the government factories to reuse?
That is the first choice. So if the government factory, railway department and other government department, if they say, no, we don't want, then you can have a board of survey and decide to sell it to outsiders. But you have to strictly follow the tender procedure and the government procedure.
So we have unearthed fuel tanks, old ones that 30, 40 years ago that had been installed. And now we can't use anymore because all these tanks are corroded. So
yes,
that bringing them to Colombo is so much. We have
cost again.
yes, costly. Yes.
Yeah.
So we have problems regarding those tanks.
Okay, you are in the attached to Petroleum Corporation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in which area?
Maybe Jaffna, Anuradhapura, remote areas.
Your work, your office is in it, where?
At Dematagoda, sir.
You are from?
Head office.
You are in Dematagoda.
Yes.
Okay. So actually the first choice will be the the government departments, mainly the government factory and the railway department. But if they say they don't want, then you can strictly follow the tender procedure.
Okay, sir.
But you have to have a board of survey.
Yes.
For those items.
Yes.
So the stock verifications then. So the government organization should be following the right forms then. Before the stock verification, all the books should be balanced and that responsibility is with the accounting officer. You have the books are balanced and signed, initialized. So stock books should be basically thoroughly checked. Balances should be examined. And including the stockyards, all items basically should be basically what you are maintaining, having is stock items at the end of the day. So losses and waivers. So the responsibility losses basically it is explained in 156, and how compensation should be paid is explained in 101, 102. So the need to abandon or cancel due to various reasons losses suffered explained in this area. The regulations has a waiver and it is basically deal with the relevant forms. The financial regulations should be strictly adhered. So 101 basically losses and waivers. The officers who are in custody of government property. So it is government property. When you are taken into custody for the loss or something happens, මේවට අප දෙන්නේ නෑ එක මතක තියාගන්න. අද මර්වින් සිල්වා ඇතුළේ ඉන්නේ government property එකක් බොරු documents අතර විකුණපු වරදට. මර්වින් සිල්වට අප ඉල්ලුවට lawyers ලා අසනීපයි අරවා මේවා මොනවා කියවලවත් government property damages වලට මතක තියාගන්න අප දෙන්නේ නෑ. So you have to be very careful when you are dealing with therefore. So the government of the basically the government property, so who are directly or indirectly, whatever way responsible, so take care to see that interest of the government is safeguarded and discharge of their duties properly, no unduly arrears or malpractices or corruption, you may call it whatever it is, should not happen. So it has to be dealt with that way. So the officers such as sort of cashiers, still government departments will have all these designations, storekeepers, stores clerks. So all in the similar grades of duties, some temporarily maybe sometimes, the working under certain periods. And sometimes it can be not articles, it can be stamps in the government. Then stamps isara stamps paachuna kuda tamatika paachino. So loss of stamps also, stamps is also an inventory item. Loss of stamps also dealt with the same techniques. It can be money or money equivalents, can be checks or pay orders or money orders or bank drafts or whatever it is. So the accounting officer is or the chief storekeeper or whatever the designation, or cashiers or shops, those who are basically the custodians, they are responsible for maintaining such items. So money, stamps, stores, livestock, all these. So you can see various type of stores. Also, the property damages, where you will be at, where a monetary value will be attached. Damage to government property. So those are the issues that the people are faced with today. And so it continues that day. Please read through this. So you should be able to have a thorough understanding. If it is the case, if it is the area that is connected to you in terms of your duties. Right? I'm not going to read line by line. So I just wanted to highlight, that, there is something like this, and please read and properly, understood. So then you will be able to do a good job without any failure and without any issues at the end of the day. That is the main thing. Right. So we are talking about stock verifications then. So the variance will be analyzed, and in the private sector organizations, it is the accounting policy of the organization how variance will be, basically handled. Maybe the stores manager or the person who is in charge, sometimes will have to pay the losses if it is a loss. Or sometimes it will be charged to his salary over the period of time. So whatever way it will be decided as per the accounting policy of the organization. Okay. When it comes to, that we have understood in detail, it is explained in financial regulations when an item is condemned, how to handle. So it has to be coming from the board of survey, other than few items like perishable items. එළවලු මස් මාළු පළතුරු වගේ ඒවා නෙවෙයි. ඒවා perishable දවසෙන් දෙකකින් විනාශ වෙලා යනවා නම් accounting officer can decide. But other items, it has to be a board of survey. Generally, when an item will get condemned, how it should be disposed. So materials which are not serviceable, basically, at the end of the shelf life may be deteriorated, may be obsolete, maybe it is banned due to legal provisions. Those items then are condemned for disposal. Now, some items we are very sure shelf life එක ඉවරයි. එතකොට මොනවද ගන්න පුළුවන් actions? Practically අපි දකින action එකක් තමයි when you go to the supermarket, දොර ඉස්සරහා ඇතුල් වෙනකොටම trolley එක දාලා බඩු ටිකක් දාලා තියෙනවා. trolley දෙක තුනක් තියෙනවා සමහරක් වෙලාවට. මේ 50% discount දීලා තියෙනවා. සමහරක් ඒවා 30% discount දීලා තියෙනවා. සමහර ඒවා 20% discount දීලා තියෙනවා. ඕන සුපර්මාකට් එක ගිහිල්ලා බලන්න මෙහෙම එක්ක රාක්කයක් තියෙනවා, එක්ක රාක්කවල ගහලා තියෙනවා, නැත්නම් ඉස්සරහාම trolley ටිකක් තියලා තියෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් some perishable items, I told you perishable items, සමහරක් ඒවා තියෙනවා කෙසෙල් ගෙඩි ටිකක්, not the first quality, for 50% discount. රෑ 9 මාරෙන් පස්සේ ගියොත් ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙන savory items, 50% discount. Savory items, manis, aroma, okoma, 50% discounts. Sometimes some meat items also 50% discount. So සමහරක් අය යන්නේ 9 මාරෙන් පස්සේ එක හින්දා. දැන් ඇයි මේ trolley එක දාලා සමහර items ටිකක් ඉස්සරහා තියලා 50%, 30%, 70% discount දෙන්නේ? What is the reason? Anybody? Yes.
It is to be expired in the near future.
Yes. That is their company policy. That is the policy of the organization based on FIFO. What is FIFO then? FIFO policy.
First in, first
That
out.
organization.
First
that is
in, first
FIFO.
out.
First in, first out, FIFO. This is FIFO. FEFO. First in, first out එක කියන්නේ අපි issue කරන විදියනේ. මේක FIFO, FEFO.
First expired.
All these organizations first. Yes, please.
Expired. First expired.
Yeah. First expiry, first out. First expiry, first out. FIFO. එතකොට මේ items අරගෙන බලන්න 150 discount තියෙන එක තව දවස් 3-4කින් expire වෙනවා. First expiry, first out. දවස් 10කින් expire වෙන එක 130 discount දෙනවා. දවස් 14කින් expire වෙන එක 120 discount දෙනවා. First expiry, first out. ඒක policy එක. ඒක disposal policy එක. private sector එකේ organization එකට board එකට decide කරන්න පුළුවන් ඒ වගේ policies. So that is expiry items. හැබැයි first expiry, first out policy එක අදාළ වෙන්නේ නැති items තියෙනවා. මොනවද? ඒක සමහරක් වෙලාවට අපි දන්නේ නැතුව handle කරන්න වෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි ඒක අදාළ නොවන items තියෙනවා. First expiry, first out. What kind of items? First expiry, first out. ඒක අදාළ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක අදාළ කරන්න තහනම්. What kind of items? All medicine.
Medicine.
First expiry, first out දාන්න බෑ. හැබැයි ඒගොල්ලෝ first in, first out practice කරන්න ඕන. මුලින් ආපු batches තමයි මුලින් issue කරන්න ඕන. අපි ගිහිල්ලා බෙහෙත් ගන්නකොට. First expiry, first out උත් practice කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි reasonable period එකක් patient තියෙන්න ඕන. First in, first out කියන්නේ ඒක එතකොට. හැබැයි අර විදියට medicine ටික trolley එක දාලා ඉස්සරහා තියන්න සම්පූර්ණයෙන් තහනම්. හැබැයි pharmacy එකෙත් සමහරක් වෙලාවට තියෙනවා ඒගොල්ලෝ විකුණන ෆුඩ් අයිටම්ස්. සමහර පිටි ජාති බූස්ට් වගේ ඒවා. මම දැක්ක මේ ළඟදී දාලා තියෙනවා 40% ඩිස්කවුන්ට් එක ෆාමසි එක. So මේවා මෙඩිසින් නෙවෙයි. Especially antibiotic and all, you can't anyway practice. ඒ වගේ දාන්නම බෑ. So antibiotics anyway you not issued without a doctor's prescription. So like that. ඒ වගේම arms and ammunition anyway it is prohibited in Sri Lanka. Then items which carry some poisons, where pesticides, weed killers වගේ ඒවා. So very strict. ඒ වගේම explosives, dynamite වගේ items. So you can't practice these items in the open, basically markets. But there are some items, it says items are getting obsolete. It became obsolete or banned due to legal provisions or deteriorated, declared, unit as unserviceable or unusable. Then deteriorate when an item deteriorate which item එකක්. ඒක විකුණන්න බැරි නම් විකුණන්න බෑ. ඒක destroy කරන්න ඕන. destroy කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එකත් ප්‍රශ්නයක්. deteriorate වෙනවද කියන එක තමයි පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නේ. What do you mean by deteriorate වෙනවා කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? දැන් item එක warehouse එකේ තිබිලා deteriorate වෙලා. එතකොට ඒක අපි විකුණලා දානවා. user කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවනම් usable නම් වෙන පාවිච්චි කරගන්න පුළුවන් නම් අපි විකුණනවා. What do you mean by getting deteriorated? නැත්නම් deteriorate වෙනවා කියන්නේ මොකක්ද?
The value of that
Yes.
goes down. Value of the goes down due to maybe corrosion, due to some chemical reaction that has had impact on the commodity.
You're right. වෙන විදිහකට කියනවා නම් මම හිතන්නේ සිංහලේ බන්ධනේ හරිම වචනේ දිරලා ගිහිල්ලාද කියන එක.
Technological outdated.
එයා මොදිත ආයි කියන්න බලන්න හරියටම තේරුන්නේ නැහැ.
Technologically outdated.
Yeah, technologically outdated එකට අපිට deteriorate වෙනවා කියන්නේ නැහැ. ඒකට අපි වෙන වචනයක් කියන්නේ අපි ඒකට එමු. deteriorate වෙනවා කියන්නේ නිකන් පාවිච්චියට ගන්න බෑ.
පරිහානියට
ඒක
පත්
දිරලා ගිහිල්ලා වෙන්න පුළුවන් මම දන්නේ හරිම වචනේ දිරලා ගිහිල්ලාද කියලා.
පරිහානියටපත් වෙන පරිහානියට නොසුදුසු.
ඔව් පරිහානියටපත් වෙලා හරි වචනේ ඒක.
Yes, that happen
පරිහානියටපත්
over
වෙනවා
time.
කියන එකත් වෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක ප්‍රශ්නයක්. Yes ගංගා.
Yes, I think that happen over time, gradually happening, I think.
Yeah, gradually. දැන් ගංගා මම වයස අහන්නේ නැහැ. මැරි කරලා සමහර කලාට වෙඩින් සාරි එක තාම අල්මාරියේ තියෙනවා නම් අවුරුදු 50කට පස්සේ වෙඩින් සාරි එක ගත්තාම මේක අඳින්න පුළුවන්ද? ඒක ඩිටීරියොරේට් වෙලා. තනින් කෑලි වැටෙනවා, නූල් යනවා, කෑලි ගලවලා වැටෙනවා, අරව මේව ඕක තාමත් ඒක අර සෙන්ටිමෙන්ටල් අයිටම් එකක් විදිහට තියාගෙන ඉන්නවා. හැබැයි ඒක ඩිටීරියොරේට් වෙලා. ඒක දිරලා ගිහිල්ලා. පරිහානියටපත් වෙලා. ඒ වගේ අයිටම්ස් කාට හරි යූසක් පාවිච්චියක් තියෙනවා නම් maybe you can dispose it. Otherwise you must have another means of disposing. But as you raise the question, technology වෙනස් වෙලා පාවිච්චි කරන්න බැරි වෙලා නම් අපි ඒකට මොකද්ද කියන්නේ? technology වෙනස් වෙලා පාවිච්චි කරන්න බෑ item එක දැන්. Then what do we call it? උදාහරණයක් ගත්තොත් පරණ ෆිල්ම් රෝල් දාපු කැමරා එක තාම ගෙදර තියෙනවනේ. හැබැයි දැන් අපිට ෆිල්ම් රෝල් දාපු කැමරාස් පාවිච්චි කරන්න බෑනේ. පරණ වීඩියෝ ටේප් රෙකෝඩර් එක තාම ගෙදර තියෙනවනේ. අපිට ඒක පාවිච්චි කරන්න බෑනේ දැන්. පරණ ටේප් රෙකෝඩර් එක 2-in-1 3-in-1 රේඩියෝස් තාම ගෙදර තියෙනවනේ. ඒවා පාවිච්චි කරන්න බෑනේ. දැන් DVD players පාවිච්චි කරන්නෙත් නෑනේ. DVD players ගෙදර තියෙනවනේ. සමහර ගෙවල් වල මම දැකලා තියෙනවා ටයිප්‍රයිටර් උත් තියෙනවා. දැන් කවුරුත් ටයිප්‍රයිටර් පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නෑනේ. ඒ වගේ පරණ ටෙක්නොලොජි වෙනස් වෙච්ච items
Obsolete.
you have to get rid of. That is called obsolete. You are right. So when the technology is changed and you can't use it now, then that is called obsolete. The obsolete items handle කරන්න අපි වෙනම policy එකක් තියෙන්න ඕන. Items obsolete නොවෙන්නයි ඕන. Obsolete item handle කරන එක නෙවෙයි. Items obsolete නොවෙන්න ඕන. Deteriorated item handle කරන එක නෙවෙයි ප්‍රශ්නේ. Items deteriorate නොවෙන්න ඕන. එතකොට obsolete නොවෙන්න කොහොමද items පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ? Recently මේ කොළඹ අවට ප්‍රධාන ස්කෝලයක් මේ හවස කතා කරගෙන ඉන්නකොට ප්‍රින්සිපල් මට කිව්වා මේ මට ලැප්ටොප්ස් 25ක් බොහොම ලාභයට හම්බුණා කියලා. මිලත් කිව්වා ඉතින් සෑහෙන ලාභයි. හැබැයි මං ඇහුවා මේ සර් ඔය ලැප්ටොප් එකේ කන්ෆිගරේෂන් එක මොකක්ද? ඒකේ ප්‍රොසෙසර් එක මොකක්ද? ඒකේ හાર્ඩ් ඩිස්ක් එක කීයද? මොන ජෙනරේෂන් එකේද? ප්‍රින්සිපල්ට එච්චරම ටෙක්නිකල් නොලෙජ් එකක් තිබුණේ නැහැ. මම ගාව කම්පියුටර් ටීචර් චෙක් කරාද මේ ගන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා. නෑ මිස්ටර් පෙරේරා මම මේක ටක් ගාලා ගත්තා මොකද මේ ගියොත් ඔෆර් එක ගියා නම් එළියට අපිට ඒක ගන්න හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැහැ නේ කම්පියුටර් 25ක් හොඳටම ලාභයටම හම්බුණානේ. මම කොයිකටත් කම්පියුටර් ටීචර්ට කියන්නේ ඒක චෙක් කරලා බලලා මේ ඒක හරිද කියලා බලන්න කියලා. දවස් 3කට පස්සේ මට කෝල් කරන ප්‍රින්සිපල් කියනවා මිස්ටර් පෙරේරා කියපු එක හරි. කම්පියුටර් ටීචර් කිව්වා මේක පුළුවන් තරම් ඉක්මනට මාරු කරන්න කියලා. මේ ඔක්කොම i3 processor එක i3 බොහොම අඩු hard disk එකක්. මේගොල්ලන්ට මේක විකුණ ගන්න බැරුව ඉඳලා තියෙන්නේ. අපි යන්තම් 15ක් i5 වලට මාරු කරගත්තා. ඉතුරු ටික නම් ගන්න බෑ මොකද i5 වල value එකත් එක්ක අපි දීපු value එකත් එක්ක ඒක ටික තමයි අපිට දෙන්න පුළුවන්. Now see what has happened. When you are buying this kind of technical items, you have to buy at least 2-3 years into the future. දැන් මම ලැප්ටොප් එකක් ගන්න නම් මම ගන්නේ i9 එක. i7 එකත් පරණයි. At least you must buy i7. එතකොට obsolete වෙන්නේ තව අවුරුදු 3-4කින්. අපි ගන්න ඕන items obsolete නොවෙන්න ඒතර obsolete වෙන obsolete වෙච්ච items handle කරනට වඩා obsolete නොවන විදිහට තමයි ගන්න ඕන. So that is why in many organizations you have a technical buyer. Technical buyer කියලා කියන්නේ field එකේ technology එක දන්න කෙනෙක්. Maybe a BSc graduate as a technical buyer he is purchasing technical items. So without the approval of the maybe IT manager, you should not buy laptops for your organization because the IT manager will know when it will be getting obsolete and how long it can be used and what should be the configuration. That is the most important thing. So non-functional, obsolete, hazardous items, and sometimes items no longer required. So this is some kind of a criteria how best you will be able to decide whether items should be condemned or not. Non-functional become economical repairs. Repair කරන්න බෑ repair කරන්න ඊට වඩා ගාණක් යනවා. Obsolete items. Functional හැබැයි obsolete. කැමරා එක තියෙනවා තාම ගෙදර ෆිල්ම් රෝල් දාලා වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන් කැමරා එක වැඩ කරනවා. හැබැයි ඉතින් වැඩක් නැහැ නේ දැන් obsolete. ෆිල්ම් රෝල් හොයා ගන්නත් නැහැ ෆිල්ම් රෝල් දාලා ෆොටෝ එකක් ගත්තත් ඒක සුද්ධ කරගන්න තැනකුත් නැහැ. Functional may be hazardous, functional but no longer required. So these are some reasons you can think of condemning. So what is the procedure then? You can't have a common procedure for all the organizations. As a private sector organization, you have to have your own procedure, or you are a semi-government organization, you have to have your own procedure. අර අපේ නුවන් ඉන්නේ නිකන් ඉන්න බැරි මිනිස්සු ඉන්න තැන නිකන් ඉන්න බැරි මිනිස්සු NIBM semi government organization එකක්. So one has to decide what is the procedure for condemning items. Maybe he had to read FRN. In between, he can decide the policy and he can get the approval from the board then for condemning items. මම දන්න සමහර පන්ති කාමරවල දැන් තියෙනවද කියලා පරණ overhead projectors තාමත් තියෙනවා. අර ප්ලාස්ටික් සීට් එක දාලා අපි කරකවන්නේ ඉස්සර. ඒ වගේ කොහෙවත් පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඔය හැබැයි වැඩ කරන item එක හැබැයි obsolete. So you can come up with this kind of a policy. Such items should be condemned and disposed of. So you have to have your own procedure. එතකොට NIBM වගේ educational institution එක policy එක hospital එකකට හරියන්නේ නැහැ. වතුර පොයිල වල hospital එකකට හරියන්නේ නැහැ. So they have to have their own policy. ඒ දෙකේම policy එක pharmacy එකට හරියන්නේ නැහැ. වෙන නැත්නම් වෙන organization එකකට හරියන්නේ නැහැ. So therefore, depending on the item, inventories, the way you work, everything should be considered, and you have to come up with your own policy for condemning items and need to go into details. Then policy should be decided. So the people, especially people's factor, is very important. So the people who are responsible for the lapses on the aspects from acquisition to storage and distribution of materials basically should be considered. Measures should be suggested, and you need to go into details when you are developing policy for the, those items, especially now for government medical stores kind of a place, for pharmaceutical corporation kind of a place. So it has to be their own policy to condemn. That ටික දවසකට ඉස්සෙල්ලා private supply chain එකක් මේ කියන pharmacy chain එකක් අත්තිඩියේ මේගොල්ලෝ stores තිබුණා. auditors ලට message එකක් ආවා මේ පරණ tablet cards අරවා මේ ඔක්කොම ගෙනල්ලා expiry date මේගොල්ලෝ වෙනස් කරලා ආපහු pharmacy එකට දානවා කියලා. unannounced audit එකක් කරාම වැඩි ඇත්ත. ඒගොල්ලෝ pharmacy chain එකේ තියෙන පරණ tablets මෙතෙන්ට ගෙනල්ලා අර press කරලා ඉවරලා expiry date එක වෙනස් කරනවා. දාලා අප දානවා. So totally wrong. So they මේ warehouse එක seal කළා. ඒ pharmacy chain එකත් සමහර pharmacies මම හිතන්නේ මම දන්න විදිහට වහලා තිබුණ ටික දවසක් මේ case එක නිසා. So you need to focus your business, your items, and you have to decide your own policy. But there are some surplus materials. මේක මුලින්ම පටන් ගත්තේ one of the supermarket chains. You must have heard about it, 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven supermarket chain එකේ තියෙන practice එකක් තමයි මේ උදේ 7 ඉඳලා රෑ 11 වෙනකම් මේගොල්ලෝ වැඩ. මේක මේ Walmart වගේ ලොකු buildings, ලොකු facilities නෙවෙයි. මේ බොහොම පොඩි තැන්වල තියෙන පොඩි facility එකක්. හැබැයි හරි dynamic. Maybe railway station එකෙන් බයිනකොට එකක් තියෙනවා. Sports complex එකේ කෙරෝල් එකක් තියෙනවා. ස්කෝල තියෙන හරිය තව එකක් තියෙනවා. Main street එකේ තව එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒක තැන්වල ලොකු ඉඩක් නෙවෙයි.
shed
7-Eleven Japan base petrol shed වල තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. So you have these stores. මේගොල්ලන්ගේ තියෙන program එකක් තමයි දැන් මේ facility එක මෙහෙම තියලා නම් තර මෙතනින් entrance එක තර මේ හරිය rack වල racks වල බඩු තියෙනවා. cashier මෙතන ඉන්නවා. එතකොට a customer goes walk through this and come back to the cashier to pay and go. එතකොට යන්න තියෙන්නේ මෙතනින් විතරයි. cashier ට දැන් නම් මේක AI වලින් වෙනස් කරලා තියෙන්නේ මේවා. කැෂියට පේනවා ඊළඟට ඉන්නේ කවුද කියලා. කැෂිය අපි නොදැන සිස්ටම් එකට ෆීඩ් කරනවා ඉන්නේ මේල්ද ෆීමේල්ද by the appearance and estimated age. හැම කස්ටමර් කෙනෙක්ගම මේල් ෆීමේල් and estimated age එක සිස්ටම් එකට එන්ටර් කරලා තමයි බඩු ටික ස්කෑන් කරලා then you pay by cash or card or whatever the mechanism and you go out. But that amount of data is now fed to the system. In addition to that, system knows මොනවද ගත්ත බඩු කියන එක. Then system එක analyze කරනවා. මේ location එකේ what are the fast moving items කියන එක පහුවෙන්ද සුමානයක් යනකොට හැමෝම දන්නවා. executives වල දන්නවා. හැබැයි දවස ගානේ සමහර items විකිනෙන්නේ නැහැ එතකොට. What are the items which are not selling in this location? The system highlights. ඒකම system එක highlight කරනවා මේ location 1 එකේ මේ items පහ විකිනෙන්නේ නැහැ. But there is another location near the sports complex. These non-moving items are fast moving in this particular location. Then what do? Next week, they are transferring these non-moving items from this stores to this stores where it is moving. තව තැනක non-moving item එකක් මෙතන විකිනෙනවා නම් ඒ ටික මෙතෙන්ට එනවා. So this is happening every week. Therefore, at the end of the day, when you do this continuously, in a particular location, you have only fast moving items. ඒක නිසා supermarket chains වල stock turnover වැඩිම 911. So supermarket chains වල per square feet profit එක වැඩිම 711 වල. So that is a practice. So this will then prevent items getting deteriorated. This will prevent items getting obsolete. And all these are also managed with this particular mechanism. Now they have a AI-powered system which is basically supporting all these movements. So when it comes to disposal, we'll go into details later. When it comes to disposals, if the stocks are no longer needed, සමහර ආයතනවල policy එකක් තමයි certain categories of items they donate. Certain categories of items, if as per the policy, if it is condemned, but still can be usable to some extent, then they donate. You know, in the USA, you have an organization, Goodwill. Those who have visited, you must have visited sometimes. I have visited Goodwill. මේ Goodwill එකට කොහොමද බඩු එන්නේ? ගොඩක් ටවුන් වල Goodwill showroom එකක් තියෙනවා. If you go to the back end of the Goodwill, then front door එක මේ පැත්තේ නම් customers ලා මේ පැත්තෙන් ඇවිල්ලා මෙහෙම පිට වෙලා යනවා. But there is a parking space and a back end door. මේ back end door එකෙන් තමයි මේ stores වලට බඩු එන්නේ. කොහොමද එන්නේ? Give me a minute, please. I'm getting an urgent call. I was expecting actually. Give me a minute. Right. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me, please?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay, very good. So we were talking about goodwill. මේ පිටිපස්සේ දොරෙන් මේකට ඇවිල්ලා ඩොනේට් කරන්න පුළුවන්. සෑහෙන ඩොනේෂන්ස් එනවා මේ හැම සාප්පුවකටම. one set of donations coming from individuals. ඔගොල්ලෝ පාවිච්චි කරපු ඇඳුම් හොඳ ඒවා. හැබැයි used garments and items, maybe rice cookers and all the items, bicycles, අරවා used ones ගෙනලා දෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි හොඳ වෙන්න ඕන. As per their policy, they attach a price and they are selling it to less privileged people. එහෙම discrimination එකක් නැහැ. ඕන කෙනෙකුට ගිහිල්ලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. prices ගොඩක් අඩුයි. ඔය traveling bags අරවා මේව ඕන දෙයක් තියෙනවා. The other route that they are getting items are not used ones. අපි තුමු Walmart එකේ items තියෙනවා for the last 2 years not selling. So they have a policy, okay, such items can be sent to then to goodwill. Those are good items. For them, it is not selling, not second-hand, brand new items, but they attach here a price as per their policy, and they are selling those items as well. So that is a policy. Then you can donate, or you can dispose. You can destroy and destroy. How do you destroy items? It depends on the type of items. හැබැයි මේ ලංකාවේ වගේ හැමතැනම පාරවල් වල දාලා රෙමි දුවන්න බෑ. It can be some metal items. Then you can call every item, they have got recyclers. You can call a recycler and you can maybe sell it or whatever way. You can get it disposed. You can give it to them. So the items will be recycled then. Obsolete stocks, yes. If it can be used by somebody, donate or dispose. But disposing it to mainly recyclers. So like that. Expiry stores. You have to dispose safely depending on the items. Mainly to recyclers. About some items, you should not be selling it to recyclers. So items like medicine, you have to destroy. So there are some mechanisms to destroy such items as well. අපි හිතමු වතු පිටිවල hospital එකේ. Then there are some Sasank, are you a doctor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. How do you dispose your clinical waste?
Clinical waste, we are having incinerator.
Yes.
By incineration.
So that is the point. That is the point. As Dr. Sasanka says, normally clinical waste cannot be sold, cannot be disposed. So each and every hospital, basically, I think all the base hospitals, am I right, doctor? Should have an incinerator.
No, not
Base
all
hospitals.
Not all hospitals having incinerators, but few hospitals having incinerators. Some are having contract
easy
third party.
Yeah, so I know, sometimes the medical faculty, Javadanapura, is having a contract party as well.
Yeah.
Because, some body parts and all, they have to take and they have to basically permission දීලා තියෙනවා වලලන්න මහරගම මේ සෝනි.
Yes.
එකපාරක් ඕක හරියට කරන්න නැතුව පොඩි ඉෂුව එකකුත් වුණා. මොකද බල්ලෝ ඇදලා දාලා. පලාතම ගඳ ගන්නත් ගත්තා. පස්සේ කොන්ට්‍රැක්ටර් තමයි මේ වැඩේ කරලා තිබුණේ හරියට කළා නෑ යා වැඩි.
Yeah, that happens.
So there was an occasion some time ago, some years ago, The clinical
Yeah.
wastage was brought to our country from a different country.
Yes.
So those can be sold, is it?
You are talking about the 110 containers, am I right?
115 containers.
115, yes.
They were sent back.
Yeah.
Sent back to the.
They were sent back, yes.
Yeah. But it so happened.
Yeah, so that is very common, sometime back in India also, because India having a very, vast geographic spread. So they were bringing these containers, but, camouflaging it to other items, and the clinical waste are getting disposed of inside the country. So that was a billions business actually.
Yeah.
So illegal businesses engage with different parties actually. So these kind of things also happen. See to what extent then. For some countries, that means getting rid of these items, inventories, is a headache. It's they are selling, they are spending a lot of money, maybe to get rid of these items. Now, even sometimes used items like in developed countries, sometimes used furniture, used electronic items, and all these different household items. So they are having mainly to recycling, but some people still they are using some unethical ways of getting disposed. And some items such as chemicals, you have to be very careful again. So it should be basically directed to chemical treatment plants. You'll treat it and neutralize. Then only you'll be discharging it to maybe waterways or natural waterways or whatever it is. And that is one of the reasons, as per the media, the glove factory, which was at Ratupaswala. You understand the case. Illuwe Vatura Labune Unda. I think 2 or 3 people got killed in the incidents. What was the real issue then? The main issue is how they dispose their chemicals, because glove manufacturing means inspection gloves, and mainly inspection gloves they were manufacturing, and also industrial gloves, and few surgical gloves as well. When you are producing these gloves with latex, you are using sulfuric acid, nitric acid, urea, and various other chemicals. So there is a chemical bath, and chemical bath එක පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ මේ forms that අර මේ අත විදියට හදපු form එක, ceramic forms, අර compound bath එකේ මෙහෙම හීන් සැරේ බස්සලා mechanically මේක හීන් සැරේ උඩට උස්සනවා. ඒතර මේක ගෑවෙනවා ඒ compound layer එකක්. ඊට පස්සේ ඒක timing එක තියලා මේක high වුණාම ලොකු වතුර පාරක් කියවලා මේක ගලවනවා. That is how the glove is formed. ඊට පස්සේ මේ ආපහු ඊළඟ රවුමේ මේ forms ටික ආපහු bath එකට එනවා. හැබැයි bath එකට එන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා forms ටික 100% හොඳට හොදන්න ඕන. ඒ හොදන්න තමයි acid bath පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. nitric acid, sulfuric acid වගේ. මේකේ concentration එක අඩු වුණාම ආපහු පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ ආපහු පුරවනවා. ඒක කොහෙටද මේක dispose කරන්නේ? And other chemicals. Initially මේක ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුණේ නැහැ. මොකද ලොකු ගැඹුරු වලක් කපලා මේකේ වලට දැම්මා. ඒකට පරිසර නිලධාරීතුමත්ගේ සහයෝගය ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. ඒතර මේ සිද්ධියේදී අපි හිතමු සර්ෆස් එක මේ ගානට තියෙනවා නම් ලොකු ගැඹුරු වලක් කපලා මේ කෙමිකල් ටික වලට දානවා. එතන ගමේ මිනිස්සුගේ වතුර බොන ලිංක් තියෙන්නේ මේ හරියේ. මේ ගානට තමයි වතුර බොන ලිංක් වල ගැඹුර. දැන් කෙමිකල් වැටෙනවා මේ ගානට. එතන මේ කෙමිකල් වතුර බොන ලිංක් වලට පෙනිට්‍රේට් වෙන්න තියෙන probability එක ගොඩක් අඩුයි. What happened over the period of time? එක පිරලා ඔන්න මේක ආව වතුර බොන ලිංක් වල ගානට. Especially during the rainy seasons, it came up. දැන් ඔන්න මිනිස්සු complain කරා ෆැක්ටරියට ගිහලා මේ අපේ බොන වතුර වල පොඩ්ඩක් ඇසිඩ් ගතියක් තියෙනවා. pH එක 4ට වඩා අඩුයි. පොඩ්ඩක් මේ ගැන බලන්න කියලා. ඕක තමයි කේස් එක. ඊට පස්සේ දෙනින් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා මොකද්ද උනේ කියලා. Then there was a court case and court case එකේ තීන්දුව තමයි මේක එක්ක water chemical treatment plant එකක් හදලා හරියට neutralize කරන්න නැත්නම් ෆැක්ටරිය වහලා shift කරන්න කොහෙට හරි chemical treatment plant එකක් තියෙන තැනකට. So they didn't take the first option because I think they have a landscape ප්‍රශ්නයක් තිබුණා. They shifted the factory to Biyagama zone. Now you have the factory in the Biyagama zone. Okay, කාලයක් වැඩ කරන්න නැතුව තියවිලා මං හිතන්නේ දැන් ආපහු වැඩ පටන් ගන්න තියෙනවා. So but Biyagama zone has a chemical treatment plant. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරන්නේ මේ chemical treatment plant එකට එවනවා. ඒක zone එකෙන් manage කරන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ zone එකේ තියෙන factories වල ඔක්කොම chemicals මෙතෙන්ට එන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ treat කරලා neutralize කරලා තමයි කැලණි ගඟට වතුර ටික යවන්නේ. මේ ඔක්කොම how do you dispose material? මේ ඔක්කොම part of disposal schemes. So we're going to further details. Before we go to investigate further details in common grounds, I think better to have a small break, about maybe 10 minutes, maybe 4.404 till 4:15. Can we have a break?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So let's have a break till 4:15. Thank you. Right. I hope you all can hear me. So let me upload the presentation. Right. Can you all see the presentation, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Did you all get these presentations? I think it has been shared. Okay, let's continue then. So we understand how best we can do stock verifications. But the issue is, how do we dispose items? So let's try to understand in general form how best we'll be able to formulate a policy for our organization. Whatever the type of organization, you should be able to develop a policy for your organization to dispose whatever the items. So now, so understanding the importance of inventory disposal and write-off. Remember, there are two things. One thing is, whether you are a government organization or private organization, you have to have the approval to dispose. If it is a government organization, through the board of survey, it should be identified that it is unserviceable and beyond repairs. Then with another board of survey, it should be decided, then recommendations should be given to dispose. If it is a private organization, so maybe the appointed committee, after highlighting it by the department that a particular item may be a fixed asset or inventory items, due to a particular reason it is no more usable, then the committee can decide, give the approval to dispose of. But there are some specific cases. You have to handle these items very carefully. Otherwise, you will be getting caught to some issues that you might not think of. So understanding the importance of disposal write-offs, importance of inventory disposal write-offs, the way, the mechanism that you are disposing is a separate thing. But what happens when you dispose? Now you can see the example we took, how you will be calculating the operating profit of the organization. Again, if you look at that one, so you have revenue, say $10,000, opening stock, say $2,000, purchases during the year $5,000, altogether $7,000. Your closing stock, 3,000. Therefore, cost of goods sold, COGS, 4,000. Therefore, operating profit, 10,000 minus 4,000, 6,000. Now, this is the very basic formula. Now, who is the owner of this particular function? This is not done by the supply chain management department. This is not done by warehouse department. This is not done by any other department. This is the job of the finance. Suppose a board of survey, say you are in the private sector, some material is identified in the warehouse. That material is not required anymore and it is not usable, but an inventory item. It is not usable, but an inventory item. That value has been already taken into the consideration of preparing financial reports. In this operating profit, the value of those items are there because it is in the inventory, it is in the closing balance. Now you identify this item as unusable and you sell it off. It is sold by the warehouse. Finance doesn't know. Now finance operating profit, there are 6,000. In this 6,000, the item that you have identified unusable and dispose of value is there, but now the item is missing. Is that right? That is
No.
Totally wrong. Totally wrong. You are the warehouse manager, maybe the supply chain manager, distribution manager, whatever the manager you call, inventory manager, will be the custodian of the goods. He is the custodian of the goods, but he is not the custodian of the value. Custodian of the good is the warehouse manager or the inventory manager or the supply chain manager. Custodian of the value of the goods will be the finance manager. So you can't dispose anything without the knowledge of the financial manager. Therefore, roughly, simply, the procedure as such, you have to get the approval from the finance manager to get the items disposed of. Then he will ascertain the value of the items which is getting disposed and he will reduce it from the financial records. It is reflected then in the financial records. So without the knowledge of the finance, without the approval of the finance, you can't do anything. Although you are the custodian of the goods. Is that very clear to everybody? Is that very clear?
Yes, sir.
So if I ask a question in the exam, so why should you have the approval from the finance to get items which are unusable, dispose of? You should be able to explain. And what is happening in your organizations, you should be able to understand now in detail. You should be able. දැන් සමහරක් වෙලාවට අපි ෆයිනෑන්ෂියල් කන්ට්‍රෝල් එක මරා ගන්න යනවා මේ අයිටම් ටික අයින් කරන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. හැබැයි මේ මිනිස්සයාගේ රාජකාරිය මේ මිනිස්සට කරන්න ඉඩ දෙන්න. So he has to, maybe he can't sometimes just take the decision. Maybe he'll have to take decisions from the board depending on the value to write off. That is the write-off part. Even the financial, maybe below $5,000, whatever the items, he may be able to get the decision. But beyond $5,000, he may have to go to the board. It might take time. He'll have to prepare documents, get the approval, present it at the board. Board will be asking a lot of questions. It might take time. So let him do his job and engage with proper financial procedures. So what happens here then, that is the area that we should be discussing. So the one thing is, how do we do the inventory disposal write-off? This write-off procedure, again, you have to decide by your organization what is applicable to you and what is best for you. I have decided this kind of policies for a number of organizations. MS Holdings, Brandix, Hydra Monies, Expo Lanka, there are so many organizations. Hela Clothing and various other organizations, we have agreed on disposal procedures and write-off procedures. Let me explain one of the examples in maybe MAS brand is common. There are about, say, about 28 manufacturing organizations. Each manufacturing organization will have some items which are not usable, maybe fabric, or maybe trims, elastics, buttons, and various other trims. The may items පාවිච්චි කරන්න බෑ. ඉස්සරහට එන systems or models වලට පාවිච්චි කරන්නත් බෑ, designs වලට පාවිච්චි කරන්නත් බෑ. මේ items දැන් එක්ක obsolete, එක්ක whatever the reasons, it cannot be used. එතකොට we have developed a policy, may items every month, it should be identified jointly by the merchandisers plus the warehouse manager. Why merchandiser? Merchandiser is the person who will know the future styles. And merchandiser can decide if these items, which are in excess or whatever the reasons not used, whether these items can be used for future orders. If it is the case, it will not be written off. So the merchandiser will identify the items which will be writing off this month. Then the list is given to the warehouse manager. Warehouse manager will be picking those items separately and put it in a different location. Then May මාසේ write off which items ටික ඔන්න location එකට දාලා තියෙනවා. ඒ location එකට වෙන මොනවත් items දාන්නේ නැහැ. Write off items විතරයි. Then it is given to the list is given to the financial controller. So he will do his job. And the financial controller then, after taking, if the value is less, he will be taking the decision. Otherwise, it is presented to the board. And he will then give the approval to the warehouse manager. Okay, you can dispose now. Now the financial controller has taken the value into consideration and he has adjusted his documents. Then, although the green light is given to the warehouse manager, he can't just sell it to Pamuno. Now, all these groups, they have set up a recycling center or reverse logistics center. Reverse logistics center. මේ reverse logistics center එකට කියනවා warehouse manager මෙන්න මේ අපේ මෙන්න මේ items ටික මෙන්න මේ list එක මෙන්න මේ items ටික දැන් dispose කරන්න ලෑස්ති. Then reverse logistics center will give them a date. Okay, send it now. Or they will organize a lorry or whatever the vehicle. And these items will be sent to then reverse logistics center. Mulu items. ඔක්කොගෙම එන manufacturing facilities 25ක් තියෙනවා. 25 මේවා මාසය අන්තිමට මේ reverse logistics center එකට එනවා. Give me a second. Getting an urgent call again. Right. When the items are sent to reverse logistics center, the warehouse manager is adjusting his records referring to the documents sent by the financial controller, approved by the financial controller. Then he is adjusting his records as per the approval of the financial controller. Then what happens to the now? Hammer plant dispose කරන items ටික දැන් reverse logistics center එකට එනවා. දැන් මේගොල්ලෝ ළඟ ලොකු warehouse එකක් fabric accessories අරවා මේවා ඔක්කොම ටික මෙතන තියෙනවා. දැන් මේගොල්ලෝ මොකද කරන්නේ? දැන් ඒගොල්ලෝ dispose කරන්න එපා. All these are BOI companies. දැන් අපි තුමු MS එකේ 25 altogether about 30 manufacturing plants තියෙනවා. මේ manufacturing plants ඔක්කොම BOI. Registered under BOI, Board of Investment Sri Lanka. ඒතර මේ fabric trims ඔක්කොම ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ duty free. Duty free concession එකේ තමයි මේ material ගෙනත් තියෙන්නේ. දැන් මේගොල්ලෝ වෙනම list එකක් හදනවා. fabric මෙන්න මේ જાතිය fabric මේ જાතිය fabric මේක value එක මේකයි. මෙන්න මේ invoice වලින් මේවා ගෙනත් තියෙන්නේ. ඔක්කොම details දෙන්න ඕන. They are sending it to the customs seeking approval to dispose. They're sending it to the customs seeking approval. Customs එක මේක නිකම්ම දන්නේ නැහැ. Customs might come and inspect and they will then charge a duty. Applicable duty එක charge කරලා තමයි. So you'll have to pay this much of duty to අපි තුමු 15000ක් තියෙනවා fabric meter. මේ meter 15000 එක එක invoice වලින් එක එක companies ආපුවා under all duty free. Then they will say, okay, you have to pay this much of duty for this particular 15,000 fabric meters and then sell it. Then they will pay duty and they will offer it to a third party. Maybe ඔය පමුණුවේ තියෙන සමහර fabric trims අන්න ඒ විදියට reverse logistics centers වලින් ගියේවා. ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ ඉතින් ඔය duty ඔය හරිය විදියට පෙරලා ගෙවලා පමුණුවට දැම්මහම පමුණුවයට විකුණන්න බෑ ඕක. It becomes expensive. හැබැයි ඉතින් පමුණුවේ තියෙන material ගත්තාම මේ imported material fabric threads අරව මේවා මාර ලාභයි. ඒ ගාන්ට import කරන්නවත් බෑ. ඉතින් ඒක ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන ක්‍රම සහ විදි ඔයගොල්ලෝ හිතා ගන්න. හරි විදියට යනවා නම් එහෙම තමයි. But you know, we can give an assurance that MAS Bendix kind of organization, they will not engage with unethical business. ඒ හරි පාරේ තමයි යන්නේ. So you know, whatever you do, if you give it as a donation even, you have to pay duty. දැන් සමහර fabric අපි රණවිරු apparel එකට දෙනවා. donation එකක් විදියට. මොකද ඒකතන trainees ලට training වෙන්න අර මේ පුරුදු වෙන්න. So we, as a practice, we are giving it to Ranavir apparels. Still, we have to pay duty. Or sometimes they take a duty concession from the government when we give all the details. තව සිද්ධියක් වුණා මම කියන්නම්. දැන් MS එකේ එකපාරක් අපි ඔක්කොම laptops දැන් desktop managers ලට තිබුණේ desktops වලින් managers like executives ලට අපි desktops අයින් කරලා laptops දුන්නා. So laptops දුන්නාම IT department එකට collect වුණා about 30 desktops. මේ desktops හොඳ ඒවා වැඩ කරන ඒවා. ඒ වෙලාවේ වැඩ කර තිච්ච ඒවා අයින් කරලා ඒගොල්ලන්ට laptops දුන්නා. දැන් desktops තියෙනවා 30ක් විතර. So we decided to donate. හැබැයි මේ desktops ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. මේක local market එකෙන් ගත්ත ඒවා duty free ගෙන ආපුවා නෙවෙයි. එතකොට මේක අපිට තීරණයක් ගන්න පුළුවන් මොකද කරන්න කියලා. Then we decided, we selected around Horana, Bandaragama area, 4 schools. මට මතක විදියට 4 schools select කළා. computers 6 එක ඉස්කෝලේකට දුන්නා. computer labs වලට. එක ඉස්කෝලයක් බණ්ඩාරගම computers 7ක් දුන්නා. මේ 7න් එකක් මේ principal ඇවිල්ලා මේ ඒ අල්ලපුවත් හාමුදුරුවෝ.
ඒ හාමුදුරුවන්ගේ පන්සලේ ඔෆිස් එකේ තමයි එක කම්පියුටරයක් ඉන්ස්ටෝල් කරේ. ඒතර 6ක් ඉන්ස්ටෝල් කළා ඉස්කෝලේ ලැබ් එකේ. එක කම්පියුටරයක් පන්සලේ හාමුදුරුවන්ගේ මේසේ උඩ පන්සලේ ඉන්ස්ටෝල් කරගත්තා. අනිත් 6 ලැබ් එකට දුන්නා. මේක හැබැයි අපි දැනගෙන හිටියේ නෑ. හාමුදුරුවෝ කම්පියුටර්ස් ටික ගෙනිච්චට පස්සේ එතන එකක් තෝරාගෙන තමන්ගේ පාවිච්චියට පන්සලේ තියාගෙන. හැබැයි හොර කොට්ටාස අධ්‍යාපන කාර්යාලයට පෙස්සමක් ආවා. ඉස්කෝලේ ලැබ් එකේ කම්පියුටරයක් හාමුදුරුවෝ හොරකම් කළා කියලා. See what is happening. හැබැයි we did the proper documentation. හැම ඉස්කෝල එකම ඒ සීරියල් නම්බර්ස් එක්ක මෙන්න මේ කම්පියුටර්ස් අත ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මේ ආයතනයෙන් ප්‍රදානයක් විදිහට දුන්නා. මෙන්න මේ කන්ඩිෂන් එකේ තියෙන්නේ. ඒ කම්පියුටර්ස් වල කන්ෆිගරේෂන් මේවා සීරියල් නම්බර්ස් මේවා ඔක්කොම ඩීටේල් එක ඔෆිෂියල් ලෙටර් එකක් දුන්නා. ඒතර අපි ඔෆිෂියලි ඩිස්පෝස් කරලා තියෙනවා. දැන් මේකට ඉන්වෙස්ටිගේෂන් එකක් කරා කොට්ටාස අධ්‍යාපන කාර්යාලයෙන්. මොකද මේ කම්පියුටරේ මෙතන ටෙක්නිකලි හාමුදුරුවෝ වැරදි. ටෙක්නිකලි ඒ කම්පියුටරේ තියෙන්න ඕනේ ඉස්කෝලේ ලැබ් එකේ. මොකද ඒ කම්පියුටර් 7ක් ආයතනයෙන් දීපුවා. ඒ 7න් එකක් මේක. සීරියල් නම්බර්ස් ඔක්කොම තියෙනවා. හැබැයි ඒක වෙන විදියකට හාමුදුරුවන්ගේ තියෙන සම්බන්ධකම් එක්ක ඒක හාමුදුරුවෝ මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳගත්තා. ඒක වෙනම දෙයක්. හැබැයි ටෙක්නිකලි ඒක වැරදි. මේ වගේ දේවල් මේ අපි ප්‍රදානයක් දුන්නට although we donated, the party who got it, if they don't use it properly ethically, anything can happen, because ultimately it becomes the school property, not a personal property. Although it is donated, it becomes a school property. රජයේ දේපලක් අන්තිමට. So රජයේ දේපල විදියට පාවිච්චි කරන්න වෙනවා. So these are incidents that we faced although we donated. What happened? So even the donation should be done with proper documentation. නැත්තම් ඒක prove කරන්න බෑ මේක අපි දීපු එකක් කියලා. So inventory disposal write-off should happen properly with proper documentation, even though you donated it. So it is part of the operations of the organization. So when you do the write-off, why write-off is important? The write-off should happen in a fast pace. Then හැම මාසෙම fabric and material ඒ වගේ පාවිච්චි කරන්න බැරිව එනකොට හැම මාසෙම write-off කරන්න ඕන. ඒක ඒ විදිහට fast pace වෙන්න ඕන. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒක accumulate වෙනවා. So you are using racking space, warehouse space, the people's time to handle these non-value adding items. But since you have a proper procedure which is very fast, every month collected, send it to the recycling or the reverse logistics center. Therefore, you are freeing your space, smooth operation, and you are managing your inventory levels also low with the disposal and stock write-off procedure that you have implemented in the organization. So it should be proper. And understanding the importance of disposal write-off, you understand now why it is important. So it is the process of removing unwanted items regularly, unwanted or unsaleable or unusable or whatever the items. එතකොට ස්ටොක් එකේ තියෙන හරි item ටික විතරයි. Then when you take a inventory report, it reflects the actual items that you are holding in the system. එතකොට accounts statements වල wrong figures නැහැ, over statements නැහැ. And you adapted disposing these obsolete or whatever the items properly, maintaining it separately, and reducing at the end of the day holding cost of the working capital. So this is part of working capital. So you can have so many examples. inventory disposal write-off, as I explained, or obsolete products, maybe due to technology or due to other items, other reasons, you are getting rid of these items. And damaged items, this is also a case. Maybe damaged fabric. And number one is, in the case of garment industry, you have finished goods damage. Nimi ඇඳුම් තියෙනවා damage. මේවා කොහොමද dispose කරන්නේ? These items also should be disposed to the reverse logistics center. හැබැයි case එකක් තියෙනවා, damaged items, financial controllers approval is not enough. Finished goods, you have to take the approval from the customer. Customer කියන්නේ brand එක. It can be Nike, it can be Victoria's Secret, it can be M&S, whatever the customer that you have produced, because that brand name is there. And I couldn't tell, when you are selling fabric also, some fabric is printed with the brand VS Victoria's Secret කියන එක fabric එකේ print වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ print වෙච්ච items කෙලින්ම reverse logistics center එකට ගියාම ඒක වෙනම අපි දෙන්න ඕන. මේවා printed fabric, logo printed. They stock it separately and they are not selling it to anybody. But they are taking the customs approval and they have to destroy it. They can't sell it to a third party because VS logo, M&S logo, Nike logo is there. And you are taking the approval from customer also to destroy. And how do you destroy? Normally the procedure of MAS, Brandix, Germany, all this organization is, and today we are sending a lorry load to INSEE, or those days it is Holcim. අපි INSEE වලකට දීලා kilns වලට දානවා මේක alternative fuel විදියට පිච්චිලා යන්න. ඒවා නිකම් fabric විදියට නෙවෙයි ගෙනියන්නේ. මේ ඔක්කොම shredding machine එකේ කෑලි කෑලි වලට කපලා රැල් වලට කපලා මිටි බැඳලා ඒක ගිහිල්ලා දානවා kiln එකට සිමෙන්ට් එකේ. Holcim INSEE එකේ. Holcim those days. ඒතකොට ඒක පිච්චිලා අඩු වෙලා යනවා. All the branded items, whether it is fabric or sometimes finished goods, maybe boxers, maybe brassieres, maybe shorts, maybe trousers, maybe shirts, all the branded products are burnt that way. මොකද මේ එකක් හරි වෙන market එක තිබිලා හම්බුනොත් there is a serious fine from the customer. Serious fine from the customer. Sometimes Sri Lanka may be losing the business. They will not be giving business to Sri Lanka. Not the organization, then the country is losing. It is that serious. I will tell you a true incident what happened some time back. එකපාරක් මම මේ බ්‍රෙසියර් ඕඩර් එකක් ආවා වික්ටෝරියා සීක්‍රට් එකෙන් ලංකාවට. මේක මෙහුවේ හොරණ ෆැක්ටරි එකේ. මේක අලුත්ම ස්ටයිල් එකක්. Totally new style. මේක ලෝකෙ වෙන කොහෙවත් නැහැ මේ ස්ටයිල් එක. First time in Sri Lanka. එහෙම එකක් දෙන්නේ හොඳම ෆැක්ටරි එකට, හොඳම විශ්වාසයක් තියෙන ෆැක්ටරි එකට විතරයි. Victoria Secret, one of the best suppliers, MAS Holdings, it came to MAS. ඉතින් මේක ෆැක්ටරි කළා first shipment එක air freight අපි කටුනායකට ගිහිල්ලා මේක customs pass කළා කාගෝ විලේජ් එකෙන් එයාක්‍රාෆ්ට් එකට ලෝඩ් කරනවත් බලාගෙන තමයි ලෝඩ් කරන්න ගෙනිච්චාම තමයි ආවේ. මේක ෆස්ට් ෂිප්මන්ට් එකනේ. ලොන්ච් එකක්. අරේ 2 million 3 million dollars වියදම් කරලා ප්‍රොමෝෂන් කරලා මේ බඩු ටික එනකම් බලාගෙන ඉන්නවා. දැන් මේක ෂිප්මන්ට් එක ගියා. අපි ගෙදර ඇවිල්ලා හොඳට නිදාගත්තා. පහුවෙන්ද උදේ ෆැක්ටරි මීටින් එකේ ඉන්නකොට ෂිපින් මැනේජර්ට කෝල් එකක් එනවා එයාගේ යාළුවෙක්ගෙන්. මචං මරු බ්‍රා එක එමුණට මාර එක්ස්පෙන්සිව් 3500ක් වෙන එකක් මේ මට ටිකක් අඩුවට ගන්න බැයිද තව 3-4ක්? මොන බ්‍රා එකක් ගැනද මේ කතා කරන්නේ? මේ දැන් මේ shipping manager අහනවා එයාගේ යාළුවගෙන්. මොන බ්‍රා එකක්ද මේ කතා කරන්නේ? මචං මෙන්න මේ මට ඕකේ ස්ටයිල් එක කියපන්. දැන් ස්ටයිල් එක කිව්වහම මල කෙලියයි. මේක මේ ඊයේ ship කරපු බ්‍රා එක. වෙන කොහෙවත් තියෙන්න බෑ. එක පීස් එකක් හරි අවුට්සයිඩ් තිබුණොත් ඩොලර් ලක්ෂ 5ක් ෆයින් එක. ඊට පස්සේ ආව කොහෙද ඉන්නේ? මේ මම මොඩෙල් එකේ ඉන්නේ. තව තියනවද ඕවා? තියෙනවා. කීයක් තියනවද? ගණන් කරලා කිව්වා 24ක් තියෙනවා. 24ක් කියන්නේ එක බණ්ඩල් එකක්. මචං මම සල්ලි එවන්නම් ඔය ඔක්කොම ටික ගනින් දැන්. ඔය ඔක්කොම ටික ගන්න මම සල්ලි දෙන්නම්. So he used his credit card and purchased all 24. We rushed directly to Odell. මුලින්ම කරේ මේ යාළුවා හම්බලා මේ කෑලි 24 ආපහු ගත්තා. අතට අරගෙන තමයි ඉතුරු ටික කතා කරේ. Then at that time it was not soft logic, it was Otara. Then we complained to Otara. ඊයේ මේ ගිය shipment එකේ මේක ලෝකෙ වෙන කොහෙවත් නැහැ. තාම කස්ටමර්ට ගිහිල්ලත් නැහැ. ඕගොල්ලන්ට කොහෙන්ද මේක ආවේ? Then investigation was done. Investigation was handed over to CID at the end of the day. Finally, මේ එක පෙට්ටියක් කස්ටම් ඔෆිසර් උස්සලා මිනිහා ගෙනල්ලා ඔඩෙල් එකට දීලා. He lost his job. Can't help. Now see what is happening in this world. සල්ලි නැති මිනිස්සු නෙවෙයි මේවා කරන්නේ, සල්ලි තියෙන මිනිස්සු. Disposers නෙවෙයි මේවා, ජඩ හොරකම්. Okay, so I don't think I can finish it today. So there are some more, cases to be highlighted here, procedures to be established. So I have shared this presentation. Anyway, we'll take it when we meet next time. I think 2 more sessions are there. So we'll continue. So I have to attend another function now. So then, so we'll stop the session here today. Thank you very much for the support given throughout the session and waiting till the last minute. And so this is a question area. We, at the end of the 3 sessions, we'll discuss probable questions as well. So again, thank you very much. Wish you all the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sir. The lesson is very interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Thank you, sir.